Well, hi there. Welcome to Pallet University, and sort of my thoughts on both the reveal trailers for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and also the trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus. So if you have not seen them, they will be linked below. And also, they are switched and flipped backwards so that Mr. Pokemon, Mr. Pikachu, does not claim my videos, or so I can at least try to make it so that they don't claim my videos. It's very annoying when that happens, so trying my best to not have that happen. Anyway, this is not my first, view of them, but I'm going to sort of break them down and talk about my thoughts and hopes. So, we'll just get this one out of the way earlier because this is the one that I'm less excited about. But if you want to see more of my reactions, you can stop by our live streams where we can sort of talk about it, more in live stream fashion, get my real-time thoughts about things. We live stream every Saturday at 12 p.m. so noon Mountain Standard Time, so 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. So every Saturday we try and stream. Lately we've been streaming Pokemon Ranger. We should be finishing that up in the next stream, so I'm pretty excited about that. And as well, make sure you subscribe down below. We also have a Patreon if you are so inclined. But anyway, let's just get on with the trailer. This was super, super nostalgic to me because I have played so much Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. That's like as soon as that sound started coming up, that slow sort of crescendo, I immediately started freaking out. Diamond and Pearl were not my first Pokemon games. My first Pokemon games were... it's a good place to stop because I want to talk about this. Yeah, my first Pokemon games were realistically Gold and Silver. I played Red and Blue before around the same time, but it was mostly me playing them because they were copies of when I went to the babysitter as a kid. Some of the older kids who could read at the time because I could not yet. Were playing them, and they just sort of let me play. So that was my experience with Red and Blue, but the first games that I actually remember playing and understanding were Gold and Silver. But Diamond and Pearl had such a place in my heart because that's probably the generation that I spent the most time on, that I've replayed the most times. So, obviously, this is not what most people expected. Most people really expected... Actually, I don't know what most people expected. Diamond and Pearl remakes have been hyped up for literally like 5 years or more. So expectations were all over the place for this. I personally don't mind when Pokemon tries something new. I am especially excited that Game Freak is not developing this. And that doesn't make me any more excited for this particular game. It makes me way more excited for Pokemon Legends Arceus, which we'll talk about in a bit. Because it means they're not splitting their team. And this is the first time, to my knowledge, that Nintendo, Pokemon Company, Game Freak are sort of outsourcing a completely side game. Like Pokemon Ranger was not developed by them. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was not developed by them. But this is the first normal style game, not produced by them. So that gives me a lot of hope that Pokemon A is willing to outsource more than they currently are, because that's what a lot of people sort of criticized Sword and Shield for, is because it was unfinished. They didn't know they're splitting their time, and hopefully that's a good sign for the future. Secondly, I don't mind this because I actually really liked the original sort of art style of Diamond and Pearl. Obviously, this is not quite the same. It's 3D, but it's like this Dawn, I almost called her May. This Dawn literally just looks like a 3D version of the overworld sprite for Dawn in the game, in the original Diamond and Pearl. So I don't understand what people are complaining about. I really like this on the screen because that's a reference to the full opening of the game. I don't remember if that's... It might actually be both Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I was trying to remember if it was just Diamond and Pearl or just Platinum, because I know their intros are slightly different. But this screen is what pops up in one of them, if not both of them. So if it is just the Platinum one, that gives me some hope too, because then these games will take a little from Platinum, not just Diamond and Pearl, which Platinum is just objectively a better game than Diamond and Pearl were. So I hope they do take some things from Platinum. But anyway, let's move on. So here we have Twin Leaf Town. I almost said New Bark Town. I get some of the beginning towns confused. But anyway, here we have Twin Leaf Town. And it looks good. I mean, again, this is top-down. Pretty much a one-to-one remake of Diamond and Pearl. I don't know what people were expecting or wanted. They've been wanting Diamond and Pearl remakes for the better part of a decade. So, this is it. I don't know why people are so mad. I genuinely don't. So in the next scene here, we have Jubilife City and the clowns, which I really like. I'm really curious how they're going to integrate the Poketch into these remakes, because the Poketch is basically what operated the bottom screen, or what took up the bottom screen in Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. And I always found it very useful, personally. You know, there was a step counter for eggs. There was any number, like friendship checker, general health things, so you didn't have to go into your actual party menu to see how your team was doing, if you're like me and pretty forgetful. So I really hope that they find a way to integrate it in a way that makes sense. I know in handheld mode, like the Switch is touchscreen, so if it's in handheld mode, it'd be cool if it could like detect that and have maybe roughly where my face is on the screen, just like one of the top corners. I would prefer the top right corner personally, but taken up just by the Poketch, and you can tap it and do things. I don't like using touchscreen things unless I like have to for a phone. But if that's what it was, I would be much more apt to play in handheld mode if that feature was somehow there. But I'm really curious. Anyway, the whole reason I bring that up is because the clowns are how you get the Poketch. Specifically this one, although I think this one is here regardless, at least at the beginning of the game. I don't think that one's involved with getting the Poketch, but I don't know that for sure. Anywho. Something that some people noticed. Let me try and pause it on the right frame. Right there. So, this girl down here. She is an NPC. This girl with the blonde hair. She's an NPC that is not present in Diamond and Pearl. She's only present in Platinum. She's the NPC that you show Shaman to. And she gives you the Gracidia flower that changes Shaman between its, I think, land form is the technical name of that form, and the sky form. So there's at least some hope for some things in Platinum. It's nice that they keep that continuity, though. So yeah, if you have a Shaman in Pokemon Home, I think it's a little up in the air at the moment whether this will connect to Home, but I have a really hard time thinking that they won't connect this to Home, just because it's like, it's a paid service that's only usable for Pokemon games. This is a Pokemon game on the Switch. I have a really hard time believing they might not have it at first. It might be like a month or even like a couple weeks after the game launches, have it connect to Home. That's what they usually do. Because I remember they did that with Pokemon Bank, where it's like when Sun and Moon came out, Pokemon Bank was not integrated into it until like at least a month after the games came out. So I bet they'd probably do something like that with Pokemon Home. But I don't know, we'll see. Personally, so I don't know. I'm slightly conflicted because I adored the Let's Go art style. Sort of without the lines. I quite like it, but I don't know. This one kind of seems like it wants it. Like, it looks like the same engine as Let's Go. And of course, this game is still, because it comes out late 2021. So it's like, it's still at least like 6 to 8 months away from being released. So maybe they can just like polish it up, but it really just looks kind of unpolished. The shadows are dynamic, which I think is really cool. So like, as you'll see with the Piplup that this trainer throws out, the shadow moves with the Pokemon, which is something that, to my knowledge, has not been done before. Like, even in Sword and Shield, I don't think they do that. Truly, like that. So, that's a good sign. Although I've seen some criticism for that last part. Oh no. You open back up. Okay. What with this? How in the games, in the original games, there was like a big thud. It was in like a different font. And some people were like, oh, new game, by the way. They're sort of making fun of it. I don't know. Once again, this is pre-production. This is very early. So we'll see if they change it, make it better. I personally really like the way Barry looks. I don't know. I really like that, though. How it's top down and then sort of swivels down to be almost like third person instead of top down. Once you get into the city, I'm sure this is some kind of cutscene for when you first get into the city, but I guess we'll see, because this is very clearly Jubilife City. And I remember in the original games, when you first get there, Dawn or... I do not remember the male protagonist name in Diamond and Pearl, to be honest. Anyway, your rival... or not even your rival, the professor's assistant, because Barry's your rival. The professor's assistant in the games, the opposite gender player character to you, sort of greets you into Jubilife City, sort of shows you around because it's your first time going to like an actual town. So I like that mechanic. I think that's kind of neat. One feature that I know has mixed reviews, but I spent so much time in was the underground. And I'm so happy they're bringing it back. Once again, I don't know how they're going to integrate it, because if I'm remembering correctly, it switched from normally when you're in the normal overworld, you are on the top screen, Pikachu's on the bottom screen, like I mentioned. When you're in the underground, it sort of flips. So you are on the bottom screen, and there's like the map of the underground in the top screen. And in order to sort of ping for items in the walls, you tap the screen, and it sends out like a sonar thing. I'm really curious how they're going to integrate that. I could see them sort of doing exactly what I mentioned, where it's like you are on the main screen, then you have like a map roughly where my face is equivalent to on the screen. And then like if you're in handheld mode, you can tap the screen. I think that'd be neat. Or I'm sure they can just have like a button. Maybe one of like the right or left bottom buttons, because those I don't think those do anything when you're in the overworld generally. But yeah, I think that'd be really neat. I love the underground so much. Like, this was the only time that I ever did whatever secret base mechanic that Pokemon used, or whatever extra mechanic. Like, I didn't do Join Avenue in Gen 5, even though I played a lot of Gen 5. I didn't really do much with the secret bases in Gen 3, or even Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. But these, I made so many really cool underground bases, and I'm very excited to remake them. So we have a normal battle system that looks, once again, like it looks a lot like the Let's Go engine. This grass looks pretty bad, not gonna lie. But once again, we're pretty early in development. And then the trainer characters all look normal in battles, but then they're only that sort of like chibi style in the overworld, which I actually quite like. I think if they were like the chibi style in battle without the Pokemon also being that chibi style, it would look really weird to me. I'm really curious, because I don't think in this trailer they show a Pokemon in the overworld at all. I'm curious to see how they change that. Because, and I know in Sword and Shield, it's basically just the Pokemon's 3D model normal, but things in battle and in the overworld don't look the same in this game. So I'm curious to see how they'll change it. And also this statue, big fan. So in the original games, it's supposed to be able to represent either Dialga or Palkia. I love this in that they literally combine them. that'd be kind of neat if this was like an actual form of a Pokemon you could create. I don't think that they're going to do that. So like a fusion thing, I don't think that's going to happen. But I love that because it's got Palkia's wings, obviously Dialga's head and like chest thing, Dialga's like shoulder things, and then also or Palkia's shoulder things, Dialga's front legs, and then Palkia's back legs, and then obviously Palkia's tail, and Dialga's like fan thing. So I really love this combination of them. And then Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I personally am very excited for these. I know there's so much mixed reaction to them. But once again, because it right here, developed by Ilka Inc., not Game Freak. Very excited about that. So we'll move on to the other game, which is why I'm very excited about that.
This is a...
So immediately, as soon as I heard, let me rewind that.
This is a tale from a...
That little just piano, just intro. As soon as they did that, I'm like, this is Pokemon, except it's Breath of the Wild. That's literally what this is. I really, really enjoy these Pokeballs. And obviously, they go a little more into them in the trailer. But they're definitely made out of wood. And it looks like you have to, like, unlock or, like, unlatch them. There looks like a latch on this one. And then as we'll see, once you catch a Pokemon, like a little puff of steam or smoke or something comes up. And it's actually quite neat. So I am so incredibly excited for this game. This game is literally for all of the lore people, such as myself. Because all of the Pokemon games that we've had so far, the mainline ones, take place, from what we can tell, roughly in a span of definitely less than 10 years. So I know it's roughly, like, Gens 1 and 3 happen at roughly the same time. Gens 2 and 4 happen at roughly the same time. Well, I guess that timeline's not quite correct, because Sun and Moon take place a fair bit after Gen 1. Because, you know, when you see Red and Blue, Red and Blue, they're sort of adults. So, or at least older than the player character. So it's at least probably 6 to 7 years after Gen 1. And obviously Gen 2 and Gen 4 take place two or three, I always get that confused, 2 or 3 years, whatever they say in Generation 2, after Gens 1 and 3. Gen 5 is in there somewhere. I think it's around the same time. Same with Generation 6. And Generation 7, like I said, years after. Gen 8, I don't know. I do not know where Generation 8 falls in that timeline. I would say all within the span of probably, at most, like 10 years. So, this taking place significantly earlier, like the colonization of Sinnoh, is so incredibly cool to me. But we'll let the trailer go.
Time ago, when the Sinnoh region
And in a region far, far away,
was still only a vast wilderness.
So again, this is just like, what if Pokemon but Breath of the Wild?
Bustled with the comings and goings of people.
I like how they just called it a certain village. So we have Piplup in the wild, which I think is very neat. Because the professors always mention, I caught these Pokemon back in the day. Or at least I remember explicitly that's what Professors Oak, Elm, maybe Birch, and Rowan tell you. So the first 4 generations, they're like, these Pokemon that I caught back in the day, back when I was a young spry trainer like you. And these are all I have left. And so that implied to me always that you could catch the starter Pokemon in the wild, but you never could. Even in the remakes, even in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Omega Ruby, Apple Sapphire, I don't think you could catch the other starter Pokemon anywhere. The exception to that might be... Oh, never mind. I was thinking Friend Safari, but that's not in those games. That's in X and Y. So yeah, you can never catch the other starter Pokemon. So this makes me happy that they actually have canon wild starter Pokemon, because that makes sense.
These Pokemon roamed as they pleased.
And of course, we have the pull-out shot with the big mountain in the foreground. in the background. That's not foreground. She's in the foreground, but way off in the background, which I really like because you don't. That's actually very light on the hardware rendering wise. Putting something that far back, you don't have to render any detail on it. That can just be a 2D image for all like the game engine is concerned. So I think that's really neat. I think once we get a better shot of the protagonist, I'll talk about their clothes because I really enjoy that. I've seen a lot of things like you could see right there. Like I'll rewind it. You can see like a resolution change or something, right? So I'll say it when it happens, right there. So like it sort of there was like a weird resolution change or something that happens right there, or maybe like a change in like the sharpening. Like I'll slow it down. Maybe I'll be able to point it out better. Playback speed 0.5. Or maybe it's just the game running at like 3 FPS. This grass looks bad. Like, I'm very excited for this game, but I'm also not going to not critique things that look bad. This grass looks... I don't like this grass. This, compared to the grass that they've already shown, or will show later in the trailer, this looks like cartoony grass. And I liked that aesthetic a lot. This looks a lot like something you would see in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. But that doesn't really fit the aesthetic they seem to be going for, so this doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but what do I know? Those Bdoof are also running pretty laggy, but again, this is over a year out from being released, so, you know, this is very early in development, I'm sure. Are we still at 1060 or 1080p? Yeah, so like, look how bad this looks right here. It's very fuzzy. No idea why, because as you can see, we are at 1080p, but this looks just very pixelated and not very good. But again, very early production, so big grain of salt. Here we have, I think, the best look that we get at the protagonist. A lot of people have been saying that this pattern right here on the sleeve is like similar to the Team Galactic one. I'm like, yeah, superficially, like it's the same color. And like right here sort of does look like a G. I mean, it's backwards for you, but sort of looks like a G, but like I don't personally see it. I mean, we'll have to find out during the game, but so like this grass looks way better than that other grass we saw with Piplup. We have, from what I can tell, these torches here are literally just, I'm pretty sure they are the exact torches from some spots in Breath of the Wild. But right here's what I was talking about when you throw the ball and it catches Shinx. It'll shake once and it'll give that little puff of smoke in the shape of like a thumbs up, which I think is really neat. Apparently this Riolu is running kind of laggy. I didn't personally see it, but I'm also not really a snob for those kinds of things. If this is how the battle looks, I like how they make it sort of cinematic, because like, do they have that for the rest? No. So how they make it, you know, here's the full 16:9, and then once you're in a battle, it sort of, I guess I need to get the right spot. Yeah, how it sort of goes to like the cinema where it's like narrower. I liked that sort of just aesthetic a lot. And you just can throw Pokeballs like that. I think that's really cool. Chingling was very laggy, but again, it's whatever. Another instance of a wild starter Pokemon with that Chimchar. Bdoof is also running very laggy. These are just things that I've noticed because other people pointed them out. Honestly, when I watched this trailer, I did not really notice them. That's just me. I tend to just not notice those kinds of things. A wild Turtwig right there. So, all starter Pokemon. I've also seen people talk about this, like these starters, which I think make a lot of sense. You know, I think it makes sense that, actually, thematically with the game, yes, they make sense. with Oshawott evolving into Samurott, like a samurai type Pokemon, Rowlet being an archer, or I guess Decidueye being an archer, and then I'm not sure the connection for Cyndaquil, but I love Cyndaquil, so I'm not going to complain. Because what other fire starter would they have picked? Not Gen 1, because I think they were trying to sort of steer away from Generation 1 for this. Generation 3. I mean, I guess Blaziken makes about as much sense as Typhlosion does in this context. Maybe I'm missing something with Typhlosion. Also, quick problem that I have. Fire doesn't create shadows. That's something I literally just noticed right here. So Cyndaquil's fire is making a shadow on the floor. That does not make sense. Fire does not create a shadow at all. Fire literally is light. So, whatever. Let's see. They wouldn't use a Gen 4 starter because they're in the wild. Emboar, I could potentially see Emboar making sense, but they're already using a Generation 5 Pokemon, so I guess not. Gen 6, I think Fennekin would make sense for this because it's like, you know, like Samurai, Archer, and then sort of like magic-y type, you know. So it's like you're up close and personal, you're long range, and then you're sort of magical. I think Fennekin and Delphox would make sense, but also I love Cyndaquil, so I'm not going to complain. I also on Twitter got a little hate because I was like, literally nobody's picking Oshawott because I personally don't like Oshawott, and I thought that was a common thing. Apparently it's not. Pretty much everybody that replied to me on Twitter was like, I'm actually super hyped that Oshawott is in this game, and I'm going to pick it. And I'm like, well, thank you for sharing your wrong opinion. I didn't say that, but I personally just don't like Oshawott. I think it's a bad Pokemon. I'll take this back. I like Oshawott and Dua. I do not like Samurott. They could have done so much more with it, and it's, in my opinion, just a really bad Pokemon. So I'll probably pick Cyndaquil just because I've used Rowlet. I used Rowlet as my starter in when I played Sun and Moon, and then I don't remember if I used it when I played through Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon the first time, but definitely Sun and Moon. And I still have that Decidueye. I named it Robin Hoot. But so I'll probably be choosing Cyndaquil, but I guess I could maybe be convinced to pick Oshawott. Moving on. So we get a better look at these Pokeballs. How they're very clearly, at least in the bottom half, wood. Oh, my face is in the way. There we go. So we get a better look at the Pokeballs here. How the bottom half at least is wood, and they have this latch on them. So I'm assuming that you would have to like lift the latch to throw the ball, maybe, which is interesting to me. Really interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. And then we get sort of the teaser with Arceus, you know. And I'm so glad they're finally giving at least some Pokemon more lore. And I'm glad that it's Arceus because, like, Arceus is literally like the god Pokemon, but we hear like two things about it. And at least in North America, the like Azure Flute Arceus event never happened, which was like the only lore thing that has ever really happened with Arceus. You get some of that. Because I'm trying to remember, there was like the Arceus event that when you transferred it to Heart Gold Soul Silver triggered the thing with Cynthia. I did that, but that was not the Azure Flute thing. I think that was like just a generic GameStop Arceus. At least here in North America. So, and I don't think they gave any backstory. And that's one of the things that I hate so much is when they just give you a mythical Pokemon with no lore, nothing associated with it. And I'm like, okay, cool, but like what makes this Pokemon mythical other than Pokemon just saying that it is? So I'm really glad that we're getting to explore some lore. I'm going to play the absolute heck out of this game. And here we get clearly like blue on this side for Dialga, you know, pink on this side for Palkia. Not quite sure what the green appears for, honestly, because I didn't actually really notice the pink or the green until kind of just now. But I'm very excited for this game. I'm very, very excited. And, you know, like I said, we've got about a year until it comes out. So hopefully they've got time to fix all those, you know, stuttery issues, all those sort of weird other issues, and to sort of nail down some of the mechanics that I don't think that they quite have, you know, full decisions on yet. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But we'll see. So let me know all of your thoughts on this, and also the Post Malone thing. I'm not going to talk about that just because that's really hard to cover, because it's music, and YouTube's algorithm really likes to find music and block it from people's channels. So I won't be covering that, but let me know your thoughts on all of this Pokemon Day stuff. And let me know what you did for Pokemon Associated on your Pokemon Day on Saturday. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Pallet_U so that you can see all of my apparent bad takes, such as Oshawott being unpopular. I really did not know that that was like a hot take, but apparently it is. So make sure to follow me there so you can see all of my hot takes. Also, if you feel so inclined, as I mentioned at the beginning, we do have a Patreon, the link to which will be down in the description. A big thank you to our current patrons, Patty Murphy and Sam Accardi. Your support is, as always, so incredibly appreciated. And, you know, they get all sorts of exclusive content, so if you are interested in potentially some extra content from me, especially lately, as I've been really busy with schoolwork, and, you know, associated school and research things for, you know, my real life job and non-internet associated life, you can become a patron, and there's a whole playlist full of other things, including an entire Let's Play over there. So, if you feel so inclined to join Sam and Patty, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of our current patrons as well. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say. My brain's honestly fried from doing so much like school-associated work. I was at my lab until like 4 a.m. the last couple days. Anyway, you don't care about that. Moving on. Lastly, thank you so much for watching, and as always, there's a time and place for everything.